Welcome into the ProboxTV studios. Another great card, September 5th, the DMV area. That's right, Washington, D.C., full of boxing talent, essentially the center of the boxing universe right now. That's why ProboxTV is going there for more 50-50 all-action fights. Help me talk about them. You're used to it in studio. Paulie Malignaggi, via Zoom, of course, Chris Algieri, but also in studio, the boss, Gary Jonas, giving us the insight into how these fights are put together, why they're getting made. I have to ask the question, starting with the main event. When you look at Rene Tellez versus Jordan White really impressive. When I talk about DMV fighters, that style, the slickness, the defense, he looked great last time in D.C.
Yeah, I mean, he did. I'm not sure about the opponent, but, he came off a big knockout of Erickson Garcia on Showbox before that. We ended up with the Argentinian. I was a little disappointed in that opponent. We got to challenge Jordan. Jordan wants to be that guy who gets into those big fights. And our platform is supposed to give him 2 or 3 really statement fights that says, hey, he should be up there for a championship fight. So we had Magdaleno, and I thought that was going to be a great fight. And one that would allow Jordan White to really shine. He fell out, hurt his hand. He's got poly hands. So we ended up with Tellez, and he actually moved up. He decided after that to move up to 35. So we got Rene Tellez, who we think is that type of fight as well. So we're pretty happy about the alternative. And I think Tellez is going to be a very, very big test. For
boss, you should be happy about my hand injuries because it allows me to be in DC for this fight. Otherwise, I'd be fighting. Otherwise, I'd be fighting the same weekend.
Right? So there's an upside to having Paulie hands.
Hey, Gary, when you put this Tellez fight together, how much did you do, Jimmy? You know what I'm about to do.
I know.
That's a tough fight. It's a dangerous fight. Because I know I've been thinking this. I see this fight and I'm like, ooh, Tellez is he's a really tough forward Mexican style fighter who can punch. He gave Floyd Schofield all he could handle, dropped him late in the fight, did 12 rounds. The guy's got a lot of experience. He comes forward, super aggressive. He can punch. So how much of that, when you were side of this fight, you're like, I think this is a tougher fight than Magdaleno, honestly.
I did a little bit of that, but at the same time, Jordan White wants that fight. He wants to prove that he belongs, and he understands he has to cross that road. He has to take on these kind of fights to prove himself. So kudos to Jordan White and his people and his team, because they got a lot of confidence and they get it. They want this fight. They want to shine against this guy and make a statement that they belong, that they're every bit what Schofield is, and they belong at the highest level. So that's how these fights get made, and it's I'm excited about it.
Boss, I love the point the champ just made about Tellez, roaring on late, because there's one thing about White. Sometimes he gets that early power, and then sometimes he'll settle in. With Tellez, he can't do that. Tellez is the kind of guy that gets scarier. It could be scary if you start to settle in that way. The fight winds up hanging in the balance late, and then with the fight hanging in the balance, you got to fight even tougher against a guy like Tellez. So it's a little bit of a gut check situation for White here.
It's a measuring stick. I mean, we're going to find out how good he is. And I think that, from a styles point of view, it's going to be a great action fight. Guys like White are fun to watch against guys like Tellez, right? Where they bring it, and so suddenly a guy who might not look like he's an action fighter against someone else that looks like him, against Tellez, it's gonna be a war.
Here's my opinion. If White doesn't get him out early, it's gonna get rocky, dude. It's gonna get rocky, and then but White always has that kind of power that he can get you out early, and then you end up wondering, all right, now we're not gonna get the answer about White late in the fight, because where the fight ended early, because White has that kind of power too. But White could do that at any level, really. He has that kind of power at any level, in my opinion. But if it doesn't end early, Tellez is.
Oh, and I think they've been prepared.
Rough, dude.
They know that. They know that little knock. They know that they have to demonstrate that they can carry their power and they can carry their stamina into late rounds against guys with chin. So I think they're ready for that challenge, and they've been working on it.
Chins and stamina.
Yeah.
Is it a challenge for you? Because you want those all-action 50-50 fights. You want to see a guy push. You want to see a guy, in the deep water mentally. So many of those DC fighters, we've seen a million times, slick, technical. They're used to going to war in the gym. How hard is it as a promoter? You want to draw that out of a fighter, but so many of those DMV guys, so well trained, so well coached, it can be hard to get them to that level. It's a difficult thing to do on the way up. What's your thought on that as a promoter, man?
I just think that they all understand what we've explained how this works, and we've explained that we're going to get you there, but you've got to walk through certain things, certain levels, certain styles, and prove that you can do it. So there's going to be no shortage. You guys are African American fighters. You're slick. You're stylish. You're fun to watch. If you're fighting a guy who's going to come balls to the wall at you. And that's the only way we're going to make an entertaining fight. So, I mean, across the board, it's you're going to have to take these fights to make that statement. They saw what happened with some of the previous fighters we've had, where they took those challenging fights and it got them the big fight. So there's a paradigm shift, whereas a lot of the other guys are trying to protect someone to the big fight. Things are changing in boxing. Now you have to prove yourself at a lower level, right, or a less expensive level in order to get to that place. And so our guys you don't get signed to Pro Box if you're not willing to take that more difficult road and prove yourself.
Well, they all seem mentally prepared. We've got a chance to speak to the fighters. This is what they had to say about fighting, not just for us, but under the big Pro Box lights. Jordan White, once again, returning to Pro Box TV. First question I got to ask, how is camp? How is your preparation right now coming into this fight?
Camp is great. Every camp you work harder. You do the extra mile that you didn't do last camp, or do a little bit more than you did last camp. So camp is going great, man. We making adjustments as we should, and we training hard, ready for September 5th.
Jordan, you talk about doing what you didn't do last camp and so on and so forth, always wanting to improve. What are things that we should be looking for out of Jordan White? Obviously, to this point in your career, we know you have an explosive finishing ability, and that in itself is entertaining. What are key things you're working on for this camp, or in terms of what you want to show to the fan base?
I definitely want to show, like you said, the power that's always gonna be a short dog. But we moving up this time to 135. So we definitely doing a lot more training pertaining to strength. Definitely keep the speed there, but we just training to move up to the next level, man, and show the world what short dog is made of. I feel like a lot of fights I'm not able to show everything. So I've been working on showing everything in camp. That way, when I get in the ring, that I can give y'all everything that I have.
Yeah, Jordan. So your last fight, you fought the Argentinian Matias Romero, and he was a little standoffish, stayed away. You had to kind of chase him down a little bit. We didn't get to see exactly that explosive power. He fought here and there at times. Rene Tellez Garon is completely different. He's the kind of guy, he's going to come right at you. How familiar are you with his style? And also, you mentioned going up in weight. Now you got a guy who's going to come at you. He's a powerful, explosive guy. How familiar are you with Tellez Garon and what he brings?
If you want, I tell y'all this. I tell everybody this all the time. I don't watch boxing. I don't care
Mm-hmm.
for it because my dad always told me, man, don't care for anything that don't care about you. And I feel as though it's another fight, a step up fight. Styles make fights. Um, and just because he went at everybody else doesn't mean that he's gonna make the same decision with me. Um, I plan to go in there and dominate like I usually do. And adjust to whatever I need to adjust to. If he come forward, I got some bricks for him to stay still. So we here. I'm a puncher and I'm a boxer. Whatever I need to do, I'm gonna do both of them, and we gonna make it happen.
Jordan, what I'm
Something
curious,
tells me we're gonna see an explosive event this time out. Even though last time was a little bit of chasing and running.
So, Jordan, what I'm curious about, when I called this fight in DC, man, the crowd was into it. And all of us ringside were kind of struck by kind of the electricity there. The crowd was very much into it. They were there early. They packed the place. How did it feel fighting in that environment? How much are you looking forward to that again? A lot of fighters don't like fighting in their hometowns, but, man, yours really showed out, man.
I love fighting at home. The fans, the family. I get to put on in front of everybody that I love and everybody that's been supporting me since I've been 8 years old. So they've been watching my 20-year run, and it's always a blessing to be able to be home and showing everybody that, like I said, that I love what I can do. So it's electrifying. I love it.
Jordan, you talk about moving up to the lightweight division, but you don't watch boxing, so I don't know how familiar you are with the lightweight landscape. It's one of the deepest divisions in boxing. The problem I have with the lightweight division is that a lot of matchups don't get made. There's a lot of good fights, a lot of good fighters, and there's a lot of possibilities in the lightweight division. And with you entering the fray, it brings that much more excitement because you're an explosive puncher and a fun guy to watch. Also, there's a lot of that DMV presence there. There's Gervonta Davis, there's Lamont Roach, there's you.
Sir.
There's Gary Russell. There's a lot of presence there from your region in that weight class that is stacked. It's so stacked that that's just the top fighters from your region, and yet there's a lot of other top fighters as well.
Hell yeah.
Any obviously it suits you well. There could be a lot of potential local rivalries put there. What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, without overlooking the here on now, but what are your thoughts on the lightweight division as a whole and the possibilities of you entering that fray?
I feel like I always say, wherever God leads me, that's where I'm gonna go. I'm training and preparing, working for the best of the best. So wherever we land, that's where we land at. I'm ready. But what I do feel is though, those guys, as you mentioned, Gervonta Davis, Lamont Roach, Gary Russell. I feel like when I get to that place with those belts and that opportunity is definitely gonna be worth taking.
Yeah, Jordan, what do you think it is? Why is there so much talent coming out of that area? Listen, there's a specific style. It's obvious when you watch the guys from that area fight, but it's not just that. There's a grittiness to it too. What is the difference and why you guys coming from where you come from not only fight the way you fight, but are so effective at the highest level?
A lot of people really don't know, but everybody in the DV fought everybody, and if they didn't fight everybody, everybody sparred everybody. Everybody is a lot closer than the world thinks. So we are one, honestly, and that's why we produce how we produce. If you look at we had a 2000, I want to say 2008 ringside. If y'all bring that, it's a big old picture. You'll see all of us in there. Gervonta Davis, Lamont, me. You'll see so many fighters that didn't even make it, that didn't make it out. That were great. But it's like I said, we are one, man. And that's why I feel as though it is a lot of great fighters in the DMV, but for looking to fight each other, I mean, I get it when it makes sense, a belt after belt for belt, it does make sense. But for us against the world, it stands out a lot more, for us
Yeah.
against everybody else. Cause like I said, we are one.
Well,
If we have to fight each other, then it's understood. But I feel like need be, we shouldn't. Because like I said, we are one. We come from DC. We are DC. We produce from here.
I think we got your next team shirt, DMV versus everybody.
But
Yes, sir.
it's
I
such a
like
If you
it.
could, listen, if Jordan, if you have that photo, send that in. I want to see that.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
will
Man,
post that on fire. That'll be a good.
listen, man, it's so many fighters that it's actually. I want to shout out a fighter right now. He's coming out. He had a rough childhood, but Devin Matos was one of the best. He was one of the best idols that I grew up watching, and he didn't have a chance to display his talent, but when I feel like when he gets his feet on the ground in his boxing game, you will know his name.
It's interesting. Sometimes there's these regions that they have it's talent in the same weight class coming out all at once, man. This is incredible to see here with the DMV because you're all in the same weight class, all with world championship aspirations, and all around the same at the same time. And there could be big rivalries, like you said. Maybe you don't fight each other and you just put on for the DMV, or you wind up fighting each other in a big local rivalry. It's funny because I remember when I was world champion the first time around, you had Kendall Holt was the WBO world champion. He was in the same weight class. He was out of Newark. I was the IBF world champion out of Brooklyn. And Vivian Harris had just lost the WBA world title out of Brooklyn as well. So there was 3 of us within like a 20-mile radius had 3 of the 4 belts at the same time. So I think DC has a possibility here to kind of do something similar with a lot of these guys. Jordan, if you put on a big performance in this fight, you'll be most definitely mentioned among these guys, and people will start clamoring for your
when I put a
presence.
good performance
Hey
on.
man, that's for you to show us, brother.
Nah, yeah, I don't tell no lies. I show and tell, baby.
That's right.
Hey, we're all looking forward to it. September 5th. It's going to be Jordan Short Dog White in our main event, taking on Rene Hiron. We're looking forward to a great fight. Can't wait to see you. Good luck to you, buddy.
Thank you, man. Like I told y'all before, I'm true to this. I ain't new to this.